Right, there we go. So I've pressed record now because I think that I'm really interested in what's happening in Colville, and in particular the thing about the building. How did you get hold of a building, and kind of what's the plans, and if you put that in context with kind of what's happening in Colville, that would be great.
Yes, Colville, i.e. the centre of the universe that we call it, with the kids. There's Colville, it's right in the middle, and obviously there we go. Raising the aspirations and all that. So I'm Deana from Think FC. So we're a social enterprise, a cooperative social enterprise that are working in the Colville area, and working with our friends like people like Cormac Russell Asset-Based Community Development and the Be More Pirate movement and all those sorts of things. You think actually the only way of doing this is you can talk about it all you like, but you just got to do it. So taking inspiration from all that, we thought this is what we're going to do in Colville and commit to at least 15 years. That we know it's going to take a long time for relationships to build and for things to happen. So we see ourselves as connectors. So in Colville, what we're helping to do is set up a community benefit society, which I've only just found out what a community benefit society is, and I think
what is a community benefit society?
It's the only vehicle for change, for real proper community ownership and social change.
How does it differ from a CIC? Community?
It differs from a CIC. So a CIC has got a board of directors in it, but it's still quite closed, although it has got an asset lock and it is eligible for, for some funds. But a community benefit society works on the basis of being enterprising. If it has assets, they can be asset locked, and it can also get charitable tax status, but it's not a charity. Its beneficiaries, it's a cooperative, so it works under cooperative principles, and values, but its members aren't the ones that benefit. So everybody can be a member through a share offer. So that's the unique thing they can do, a community share offer. So if you've heard of a community shop or a community pub, most of those, and a community land trust, most of those are CBSs by their nature, the underlying vehicle. So you can do a share offer, which means you can go out to the public and anybody can buy a share. And it doesn't matter what you put in, you can get interest back, but you only get one vote. So it's a real democracy. But the beneficiaries of the enterprising activity are a community that you identify. So in Colville, the Colville community will be the beneficiaries of the community wealth that will be generated from ethical landlordship, basically. So the idea is that the CBS, the Colville Communities and Neighbours CBS in Colville, eventually becomes an ethical landlord, and it does three things. So it'll actually help people start their own enterprises from scratch. It will support people to start their own projects, and we share tools to do this, which I'll tell you in a minute. And it will take over buildings. So at the moment we're doing the groundwork.
When you're saying it will help, you're talking about the CAN.
Yes. So at the moment, Think FC and CAN are kind of very closely connected because we are helping set it up. But eventually Colville CAN will be completely independent. It will be a community benefit society run by the people, for the people, and we'll have helped do it. Hopefully we'll be invited guests in the future, but we're not trying to build ourselves into the future of it. We're just trying to make the connections and put the groundwork in place to enable it to happen. So we're doing that by connecting people.
Where are you getting the direction to do all of that?
That's
is
just
the LSE or no?
Is it what?
The LSE?
LST, what's that?
No, LSE, like the local enterprise people.
Oh God, no. Our plan is to go to them.
Okay.
Who are the LEP? The local enterprise partnership, yes. So we are preparing something to share with them, but they're more about corporates as far as I know. So we're hoping to convince them that actually this way is a much more enterprising way of doing it that will benefit them as well. So
yes, I think it's something about educating, like it comes back like with the talk we were having earlier, that for change it's got to be two-way, hasn't it?
Yes, so we think people like the council, people like the national movements, and joining in at those levels, trying to influence the top down, but it's all about grassroots up. So it's about trying to connect people and get people believing that this is possible. And we have identified a number of spaces and places that could be taken over and become the ethical landlord. So an ex-co-op, council, places that the council own, places that are empty. And what we've developed to help people do that alongside CAN, a different CAN, this is Cooperatives Assistance Network, who are in the Southwest. We've jointly put together something called a Wicked Spreadsheet, which I can happily share, and that's going to be under open source license. So it helps you identify a building and do a very quick feasibility on what's possible, where you might get grants from, what the loan finance and share offer might look like. So we've got the open source version of it, and we can also run workshops in that. That's with CAN. So that's the one end of what we're doing in Colville. And then what we do is Think FC on our own. So Think FC, we're a cooperative social enterprise. We are a KIC, and we share thinking tools. So we've got things like, we've created a journal that we can share with young people in schools, and the idea is to change thinking, to get people thinking more creatively, to solve their own problems, to take responsibility, to make better decisions.
Sorry, what was that?
So this is a journal.
Journal.
And on our website there are lots of tools that are there that you can just download and use. We are developing more, but the idea is that we can create some products. We create a bit of sustainability. How do we make it all work? So a lot of it is at the moment done voluntarily, but things like this product, that you can now buy that for a tenner. And one of the ideas is that actually, for instance, New Green for Coventry could have its own version of this, but with their own branding, and schools could have their own branding. So there's little things that we can do that could hopefully generate a bit of income, and also we can charge for some of the workshops. So that's how we're trying to make ourselves sustainable. But we're not trying to be, we're not going to come out of this rich. We just want to earn a fair price for some of our time, as most of us do. We're part of the Be More Pirate movement, if you see back of me there.
I haven't heard that. It sounds good.
Well, we're actually in this book called How to Be More Pirate. So I suggest that's a really good one to read, because it's practical examples of Sam Conniff, the writer of the original book, Be More Pirate, calls it professional rule breaking. Okay. But there are lots of reasons why the pirates were awesome in terms of their democracy, and they started off the insurance for people who were injured. They were inclusive. Their pay was never more than three. There was never a gap more than 3 times between the lowest and the highest pay. Everybody got a say. So all of those things were discussed in the Be More Pirate book, and in the How to Be More Pirate book there are specific examples, and in there's 3 pages on Colville and why CBSs are the answer to social change and what we're doing in Colville.
What are CBSs? That's
the Community Benefit Society.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
So I can share a slide if you want me to. If you allow me to share screen, I can put you a little slide up so you can see at a glance. I did a presentation yesterday called the Wicked Spreadsheet Workshop, and that includes the context. It includes about CBS. It includes about Colville, and then it takes you through 2 real-life examples of the Wicked Spreadsheet. Okay. So I can quickly show you that, and then if that's something you want for your group at some point, then I can do that. So if I share
a couple of projects that are in my mind that would benefit from the knowledge about CBS.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slideshow. I'll just run this from the beginning and we'll just really whiz through it, but this is the entire workshop. We can ignore the first bit. There's little videos online. So you can ignore this bit, it's just the first bit. So this is about what Think FC are doing in Colville. It's all about people, place, potential, building on strengths. Yeah. We have created a little tool that you might like called Community Asset Bingo. Where is that? This is an example of it. This has got the post-its on. So we took this to a market, and underneath here are all the different elements of what makes up a community. So it's stories, people, institutions, businesses, buildings. And doing it in this way, we did this in a market and got police officers, children, families to just see if they could fill in the thing for a little prize. Yeah. So it's a really nice little thing. I guess it just builds on the strengths locally. So that's a little tool that's out there. So that's what we're about. And then, this is actually a poem about a community benefit society, of why they're so awesome. I like to bring in a bit of creativity.
Yeah.
And then these are the features of a community benefit society. So they're a type of co-op. Anyone can be a member, so it's fully democratic. The beneficiaries are a defined community, so you decide who the community are, and they are the people who, the area that benefits from the enterprise and activity surpluses. The assets are locked just like a CIC, and they can have charitable tax status, which I don't think a CIC can have, but they're not charities.
Yeah.
They've got a set of rules and run by a board, and they can do share offers to the community. And then any investors. So there's things like, where do all the charities put their money at the moment? If they're putting them into the stock market and things that aren't ethical.
Absolutely.
So could we not just actually switch? If a few charities were to invest in community shares, you would bump up the community share market, you would transform communities, and any community group that had got a share offer, you've got funding there that could be accessed.
That's a really brilliant idea.
I think that's, if anybody's listening that is part of a charity,
let's do it. Puts
their funding. Well, it's a quick way of getting quite a lot of money into another sector and potentially transforming things.
What's that?
And the registrar is not the Companies House, it's the Financial Conduct Authority. So CBSs produce accounts just like any other limited liability. They have got limited liability. Yes, I'll put that on there. They're incorporated, so they have got limited liability, and they're registered by the Financial Conduct Authority. So that's what a CBS is, and we think they are the most pirate vehicle that you can use to transform communities, and they are featured in that book.
Okay.
So this is what we're doing in Colville. We've just thought the only way we can do it is actually by getting stuck in and helping it happen, because it doesn't happen by chance. It's got to be by a group of individuals that could be quite small, that with a passion to do it, and that's what we're trying to do.
So this is. Oh, sorry. Go on, carry on.
I'll take you through actually, because there's a bit about that. So if you can see, we'll forget that bottom bit. So Colville Can CBS is the Community Benefit Society, and then the idea is it supports people to set their own projects up and do enterprising things, which is where some of the tools come in. So we've got things like, we've got an enterprise planner, we've got a project planner, and they're all available on the website to download. That's ThinkFC.
Okay.
And then it will also become the ethical landlord. So it will own buildings and spaces, which it will do. I'll show you how we're going to do that. And any surpluses would go into a community wealth fund, and then that community wealth fund is spent locally on your community of benefit, hence Community Benefit Society.
Yeah.
So we have identified loads of buildings in Colville, but this workshop effectively looked at two, an old co-op store and an old market. And that's the co-op that's currently not being used. This is the market that's currently half empty. And I can whiz through this because this is just part of my presentation. Oh, there's a bit. So yeah, we're bringing people together who are interested, and we've called it building up a crew. So bringing up a crew of people that start to get what CBSs are about. Some of them start doing their own thing. So one lady's done a whole mutual aid group, and she's gone off, and we've helped her set up her own association. So it's about people going off and doing whatever they want, but somehow keeping some connections with that, and enabling people to do that. So there's a local crew. Well, ignore that, that's a little film. And we need you to know we were bonkers. And what we also did was pull together a wider crew of people who are on these national forums, and people who are local with specific expertise that might be needed. So we've pulled together these people who are there to help, and we can draw down expertise when needed. And we've also started connecting to some of the people that could help fund and support the projects that we do. Okay. So the key person that helped produce this workshop, the spreadsheet that I'm going to share, is Brian. So Brian and Can have already developed something, a spreadsheet, and what we've done is worked on it to make it into the Wicked Spreadsheet. Wow. And this is it at a glance. So it's an Excel sheet one sheet. You can print it out just on one sheet of A3, which is quite helpful, but what it does, at a glance, it enables you to put in a few figures. So you only need the area of a building, the use that you want, and the purchase price. With those 3 or 4 figures, you can actually do a 30-year profit and loss, cash flow and balance sheet forecast and show your community wealth. Okay. So I'll just quickly whiz you through because I was going to do. So yellow is the input cells, green is the calculation bits, and pink are important numbers. And then how it works is there's space to put the building areas in, there's space to make some assumptions, there's space to do the calculations. Most of these are done automatically once you put your assumptions in. There's a space to put in your potential grants and your likelihood of getting them and any in-kind contributions. They all get fed in and you work out your total cost and income per annum. That all then leads you with what's needed. And what's needed, then you can put your loans, your social investment and your community share package together. That then automatically, with a few extra little bits added, if you can add in some costs and things like that, is the profit and loss for 30 years. And that also then, there's a line that you can take out the community wealth so you can show how that grows. It also works out your balance sheet, which includes the pink line, which is the cash, and then the movement in shares and your cumulative community wealth. There's the people that made it, and then there's some important results that summarise. So that basically is the Wicked Spreadsheet. So we've developed this. The idea is we can do workshops on it and share it with others. So we could do if you'd got a building in mind, the idea would be that we could then share this with you and you would all have it. But while we're doing the workshop, we might work on your building and add a few figures in. So that would get you started. We would have to charge for that, obviously, because we can't keep doing these all over the place. The other thing that we're trying to do is, if we could get a bit of funding to host some or even have some once a quarter, then, once a quarter there can be an advertised space to do the Wicked Spreadsheet and people can join then. People are interested. And then anybody who comes on the Wicked Spreadsheet workshop or who wants the Wicked Spreadsheet can actually have it under open source license. So they'll become part of the community of users and be part of the Wicked Spreadsheet WhatsApp group if they wanted to be. So it was only launched yesterday. So the first workshop ever was yesterday. So we're just working out, how I realised that I've got no promotion for it because all the promotion had been about the workshop. So now I've got nothing to share. But that's basically a little bit of a run through from it. And in a workshop, you'd get, 3 or 4 hours where if it was just a group like your group, where you might want to do the spreadsheet and then play with it and then have a feedback in 2 weeks' time, that sort of thing would be a specific to a group, or it could be some of your group or one of your group comes along to a workshop that's already happening. So that's what we're trying to do. Then the workshop goes through all the different areas in a bit more detail, and then what we do is we go into, this is a bit about the user license. There's a little film on that by one of the CAN team, and that's the license. This is all free, by the way. Okay. And then we go through it all again, a little reminder. And then what it does, we go off this and onto the actual spreadsheet itself and work on those 2 examples. We fill it in and show how it works. So that's, just stop sharing that. So that's the stuff that we're doing in Colville, basically, helping the community come together to take over spaces and places, to be transformational. And alongside that, we are sharing and developing thinking tools to help with thinking. So, thank you.
That sounds really, really marvellous. And it actually fits into the 2 pillars that I've been focusing on, because I think they're so important. The first one being wellness, the second one being the economy. So I've got goosebumps.
Absolutely. Well, that's good. We actually, I've got goosebumps now. We only work with people who get goosebumps. That's my gauge.
That's a good requirement.
So if you have I think the best thing is to have a look at some of the stuff on the website. So in resources on our website, there's things like an enterprise planner and a project planner. And so some of the things have been demystified. So Yeah, I gave one of these enterprise planners to a young person the other day, somebody who'd been kicked out of school, and they immediately were like, well, this is awesome. It's all on one page. It's not a complicated form you have to fill in, but actually it gets you thinking, and some of the tools are embedded in it. So these things are all there to download.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now because I don't want people to have a long recording to have to go through, but we'll continue a little bit more if that's okay. Cool.